If you're looking for some fun, easy ways, new ways to work with clients that give you a lot of information, these charts might just be for you. There are lots of ways to use my charts. I'm going to show you a few. This is the Adverse Childhood Experience chart. I like to use this chart in session where I actually ask the questions. And there are several reasons for that. You could give it to them when you give them their paperwork to fill out. But if you ask it in session, you have the opportunity to see how they answer the questions. And to me, that's very important. For example, my client originally said no. I saw the hesitation and asked, what was the hesitation about? She said, well, my parents were good. Most of the time we had food, but when I was in 3rd grade, my dad lost his job and I had to wear dirty clothes to school, and there was not enough food and I didn't have lunch money. So that's the story. So I turn it to this side. What's the negative belief you believed about yourself at the time and today? I like to give the ACE questionnaire along with the Resiliency questionnaire in the same session. This is great for resourcing, to do some positive work with the client, help them remember good stuff that did happen. So this is great to do with the client. So the questions are about positive things that might have happened, and rate them: definitely true, a 4, to definitely not true, a 1. So let's take one of them, number 12, for example. When I was a youth, people noticed I was capable and could get things done. Definitely true, a 4. All right, great. Flip to the other side. What was the positive belief that I developed from that event? What was the event? Well, the event was I was washing a jar of honey. I was about 6 years old, and my aunt was over and she noticed, and she got really excited and happy and encouraged me and said, wow, how did you know to wash the sticky jar of honey, and carried on. I can still see it today. So the positive belief was I'm capable, I could get things done. 1 to 7. 1, definitely not true. 7, definitely true. I give that a 7, definitely true. Often I have clients that come in that aren't even sure what a feeling is. So this, in many ways, can help them identify feelings and what they're about. For example, when I am sad, my body cries. What does that look like? Can you draw a line from a face to a word? Does it match? Are you matching up sadness with crying? Are you matching up anger with an angry face? This is very helpful in helping clients identify feelings. When we identify our feelings, we also want to know where they are in the body. Where do we store them? Where do we hold them? This is a good example of radiant heat in the body and how the feelings that are stored can affect us with different colors. Where do you feel it in your body? Which one of these images does it feel like? 0 to 10, how intense do you feel it? The next chart I have is to talk to clients about how trauma is processed in the brain. This information is very helpful in understanding how we hold on to trauma and carry it with us and have it trigger us later on in life. So what happens first is the brain is constantly scanning for real or perceived threats, because the job of the brain is to keep us alive. So without us even knowing, we're constantly scanning for a threat that's real or perceived. The other thing that people need to understand is that what happens with our nervous system? What happens within the body when a threat is perceived or a real threat happens? Well, the hypothalamus releases stress hormones and alarms the sympathetic nervous system to fight, flight, or freeze. This is important because the release of this cortisol is harmful to our organs. What happens? What's the reaction that happens under fight, flight, or freeze response? Well, heartache influences the mind, resulting in unrelated decisions. When people are reacting, they yell, they scream, they throw things. They lose the ability to respond. So what happens when you have prior childhood trauma? What happens in the brain then? Well, the parasympathetic nervous system is automatically activated, resulting in numbing or dissociating. This is very important for clients to understand how the body operates. Are they numbing? Are they dissociating? Is it caused from a childhood event? I'm going to talk about the Mindfulness Chart and how I use that with my clients. Understanding opposites is a great way to teach clients about meditation and mindfulness. They can usually relate to how they are by how they've been. So I take a look at the mindfulness side first and have them relate some story to one of these mindfulness ways of handling life. Then what we do is we look at the other way, the opposite, the new way to handle it. And this is a concrete exercise that they can do, that you can give for them to do once a week. Circle it, and then with your dry eraser, which one they're working on, put an X through the one mindfulness way they are no longer going to be. There are lots of ways to use the meeting space chart, and I'll go over a couple of them. One way is to have your clients talk to people that they are afraid to talk to, or feeling bad about something they didn't say to someone who has died, or talk to the wounded child within them. So with this one client, I will give one example. There was something he wanted to tell his dad, but he was extremely afraid of his dad. He said that they're very close, but he was very scared to tell him this, and you'll see why in a minute. So the first thing I said was, where would you like to, well, first pick a side. Where would you like to have this meeting with your dad? He chose this side. Okay, great. Where would you sit? He said, here. Then I said, where would your dad sit? And he said, here. And I said, isn't that interesting? When you tell me you're close, yet you're so far apart. What's that about? Well, he said we are close, but what he's saying to his dad is really scary to say. All right, let's see what he has to say. What is it you want to tell your dad? Well, I'd like to just flat out say what I need to say and see what he says. Okay, what are you going to say? Dad, I'm gay. Great. How'd that feel? Nerve-wracking. All right. What do you think your dad's going to say? Son, I already knew. Son, I already knew. And how does that feel? Way better. There are lots of ways to use the feelings chart. Education is one great way. I have it on my coffee table inside my office. I often talk to my clients in the first couple of sessions about feelings and the body, and then I leave it there. So an example of what happened one time was a client came in and she said, oh, I'm struggling. I'm like, okay, what are you struggling with? And she couldn't think about it, but she saw the feelings chart sitting there, so she grabbed it and she said, I just got to tell you, and she took the pen and she said, I am agitated, furious, confrontation, went all the way down the anger line. Lots of information there. Lots of good activity there. Okay, 0 to 10. How strong do you feel it? 10. Where in the body do you feel it? All over. Turn to the other side. Another client had said, I just have no words for what I feel. Okay, do you have an image? And this was a veteran. Yes. Well, what does it look like? Can you circle what it might look like? Or what's closest to how you feel? That's me, he said.